U.S. President Donald Trump has started demolition work on part of the White House to prepare for the construction of a 90,000 square foot ballroom. Photos of construction workers tearing down parts of the East Wing have gone viral. The plan comes at a price tag of $250 million U.S., and the White House says that bill will be footed by private donors. But who those donors are has yet to be revealed. This will be the biggest change made to the residence since 1948. My next guest has been in that room. Edward Lengel served as the chief historian for the White House Historical Association from 2016 to 2018. He's also a historian of the founding era. Edward joins me now. Good to speak with you, sir.
Good evening, Sarah. Nice to talk with you.
So this demolition and new plans for the East Wing, I mean, let me just say, in Canada, there's a huge controversy if there's any kind of renovation suggested to the Prime Minister's residence. So I can understand that the White House this must be a very significant thing.
It's definitely a significant thing. And you mentioned that it's the biggest thing since Harry Truman's renovation. I would say it's the biggest thing ever that's ever been done at the White House. It's unprecedented. It's totally new. And it's important to emphasize that. You know, there have been changes to the White House before, interior renovations to the White House. There have been some exterior changes and modifications at one time or another. It's been there for 225 years, except for when the British burned it in 1814. But, you know, this is something that is absolutely changes the nature of the whole construction.
Edward, as you're talking about this and using the word new, I don't hear a lot of enthusiasm in your voice for this big change. Talk to me about the East Wing and its place in history. What's special about it?
Well, the East Wing itself is not part of the original White House. That doesn't mean it's not historical. It really dates from Teddy Roosevelt in the early 1900s, who wanted to create kind of an entryway into the White House for the many guests. He was big into ceremonial and events and all of that stuff. So he wanted a place where they could be welcomed and put up their bowler hats and their umbrellas and all that kind of thing. But I think if you move even further beyond that to Franklin Delano Roosevelt in World War II, and particularly Eleanor Roosevelt, really transformed the East Wing to initially be the first site of the offices for the First Lady. You know, the First Lady is something that was only formalized as an office in the 1970s, but Eleanor really created it as an idea that a woman was there not just to welcome guests, but to actually have a role, and the East Wing fulfilled that role for quite a while.
Edward, from the White House, we're hearing that the upset that some feel over the changes here that are underway, they're calling it manufactured outrage. What do you call it?
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've also heard them say that anybody who criticizes it is a loser who is casting at pearls. And I would say I'm happy to cast at the pearls of the founders in the founding era, because I think George Washington and Thomas Jefferson together, working with the Irish architect James Hoban, created this vision for the White House as the people's house, as a home that belonged in a really profound way to citizens of the United States, as a common property, and it was meant to represent them. Thomas Jefferson in particular was really concerned that it not be like a palace, not be like Versailles, not like Buckingham Palace, not anything like that, but that it be a residence that represents American democracy and the ideals of democracy. Personally, I think Thomas Jefferson would have been absolutely outraged by this. And I think George Washington, I'm a George Washington expert. I've written a bunch of books on him, spent 20 years reading his correspondence. George Washington would have been deeply offended by this.
Edward Lengel served as chief historian for the White House Historical Association from 2016 to 2018. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.